Greetings, dear viewer, and welcome to another thrilling installment of my survival Minecraft Let's Play. I am iWhat, and right now we are standing at the core of our world. This right here is our storage system, and because it is our storage system, this is an area that we come by a lot. In fact, I would argue that this is the area we spend the most time in our world. But right next to this vital part of our world, we have this ugly stone wall, or, well, diorite. And because it is diorite, I am blending in a little bit, because both the diorite and my skin is white, so I am kind of camouflaged. But today, I would like to bring some change to that. In fact, this is the only one of the four, exits or entrances of my storage system that I haven't done anything with. And that is because I have been putting it off because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to build here, because we kind of have to go up, because I always planned on having stairs to go up to the surface here. And the time has come. I actually have a lot of great ideas on what I want to build here. But we might be a little bit space constrained actually, because what I intend to build is quite big, and if we go far enough we might collide with what we have over here, which is also kind of why I left this open the way I did it, because we can still move this around a couple blocks. Anyway, that will take its time, so I feel like we have to get started, otherwise this episode will take much longer than I intend, as they always do. So, ladies and gentlemen, say it with me. Can we please play the intro? Alright, there is no time to waste here, and because I want to go up to the surface, building stairs, we have to start by, of course, placing down some stairs, obviously. So, I have built some simple stairs here, and with these simple stairs that I have built, we now have an exit to the surface here. And this is really nice, because this exit to the surface is kind of the first constraint that we have on the town village thing that we want to build here eventually. So the plan is to eventually extend the houses from over there all the way over here and have a big town city thing. And this exit or entrance to our underground base should then go inside of the main town hall thing, and then over here we should have a square or something. But those are plans for the future. Let's now focus on what we are going to do in this episode. So, obviously, first of all, we have to fix these walls, because, well, the idea was that we had an ugly wall here, and we were trying to fix that. And in the process of doing so, I appear to have made even more ugly walls, so obviously we have to fix these walls. But after that, I want to focus on this area, and that is probably the main focus of this episode. I want to build some basic farms in this area right here. And with basic farms, I mean your carrots and your potatoes. Because right now we do have the giant wheat field, but for potatoes and carrots, we do not really have a good source of those, and I want to build one today. But let's first get started with these walls, shall we? When building stairs, I actually don't recommend making them this steep. And with this steep, I mean having this many stair blocks consecutively, in one go. Because of multiple reasons. First of all, it'll make your floor look very boring and flat. And secondly, it'll make your wall more difficult to build. Instead, if you want to have an easy time building your stairs, I recommend splitting it up into different levels. For example, we've done that over here, where we go down in levels with smaller stairs one at a time. But if you want to go up quickly, or you have made the design choice to actually have a long flight of stairs like this, there are some tricks you can do to make your life a little bit easier. For example, right here we have sectioned it off into more narrow sections. Usually when I am building things, I would use more wider sections than this. But because we go up this steep, it feels like having narrow 2-block wide sections actually makes more sense. Also, I have included some hidden lighting with trapdoors with glowstone beneath them, and now I am going to try and add some depth by going back a block like this. Maybe even 2 blocks. Alright, I have decorated these in one of the most simple ways I can think of. So I just used a plain simple colored terracotta background. As I've already explained previously, colored terracotta goes well with almost any build. And then I used some greenery, in this case bamboo, to give it some more detail. Now, for the last part, the ceiling, this is most likely going to be the most difficult part, because we are dealing with a very intricate shape here, and making that work using stairs and slabs and whatnot is going to be a bit more challenging than some of the things that we have done up to now. And on top of that, I want to try and get some lighting in the ceiling, because otherwise my greenery will look a little bit dark. And the ceiling has been built, and it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Just a clever arrangement of stairs did the job just right. And we used the same trick as in the floor with the trapdoor and the glowstone to get some light. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I have just demonstrated to you that building a simple staircase like this can actually be relatively easy compared to some of the other more complex builds that I have done in this world. Anyway, let's copy this thing over to this side and let's then focus on this middle part. In the middle, in between the 2 stairs that I've just built, I already added the framing, and because we are dealing with an even wide thing here, I feel like this framing right here lends itself perfectly for a painting. Yes, I was right. This painting absolutely looks great on this wall. And in addition to looking great, a painting allows us to hide some lighting behind it. And as a bonus, we can also hide a secret entrance in here to whatever we really want in the future. I chose to mix up the color of the background terracotta a little bit just to break things up, and I've added some simple framing using spruce wood. Now I think we should focus on the ceiling a little bit, and I think I am going to leave this area over here quite blank for now, because I really want to focus on the thing down there. The ceiling is now in place, and before we move on to the project down there that I am so excited about, I decided that I should try something over at this section of the stairs. And it turns out that I cannot figure out what I want here. I placed in some framing and I like the framing. I think this is good framing that we can work with in the future. But we have 2 blank walls here, and I decided to add a similar frame like we have around the painting. But it is unclear to me what I want to put on these walls. I thought about maybe adding a big map wall, because right now our map wall is actually in a really inconvenient spot at our starter base over there, in a place where we don't really come very often. And over here will be like one of the main points in our world, so it would make sense to have a map over here. But if we add a map, then we just have one wall covered, and then what do we do with the other one? So if you have any suggestions or ideas of what I should add to these walls, please let me know in the comments. But now, I want to move on to this project, and as we usually start any project, we start with digging. Alright, I have dug quite a considerable hole here. In fact, big enough that we collided with the thing I showed you earlier. So that is where I want the river canal thing to be in the future. And because of this, I switched over to a creative mode world to make sure everything fits and sort of pre-design my thing so I don't run into problems later on. And I can confirm that the hole that I have dug right here is the correct shape and size for what I want to build. In fact, I have the design almost ready in a creative mode world now, so I already know what I am going to be building. So let's continue, and as usual, the first thing we build is the framing. The framing has been built. I went with relatively simple but nice and tall curved wooden framing. And I think next up I am going to continue the theme of our base, and that is the leaves in the ceiling. Also, I have to put up lights on the top there because that is a problem. Leaves in the ceiling always make a room feel a little bit more at home in this world, because almost all of the things that we have built in our underground base have leaves in the ceiling. And because of that, it's a very nice theme to sort of connect all of the things from the underground base together. Plus, leaves in the ceiling always just make a room feel so much more vibrant and lush. Especially over here, you can see immediately when I just added the ceiling how much more alive this room feels, even though it's a very empty and, in fact, still quite ugly room. Anyway, let's move on and let's continue with changing the floor to grass. Besides a floor, this room obviously needs some walls. And when I was starting to prepare myself to build these walls, I actually realized I never exactly explained what I wanted to build in this room. Well, I want to build some of the basic farms. So that means 4 things: wheat, potatoes, carrots, and beetroots, because those are the 4 crops that villagers can farm for you. And in this room, I want to make a mechanism to abuse that. So we have 4 sections of the wall here, and every single one of those will correspond to one of those 4 crops. Anyway, let's get started in trying to make a nice interface for this. Pixel art? Pixel art. Pixel art. Alright, a lot of progress has been made on this room. We have added these little side room things in which we have already planted the crops. And above these rooms, we've added these little art things that I absolutely love, and these indicate which crop grows where. Interestingly, if you would have asked me before I started building this, which of these little art things would be the most difficult to build, I would have always said the wheat, because it has the most weirdest shape. But actually, I've struggled the most with the beetroot, and that is because I can't unsee that this looks like an anatomical heart, and I can't really get rid of that feel. Also, the potato looks like cheese a little bit, but I think it's still fine. This looks more like a potato than it does look like cheese, in my opinion. Anyway, let's focus for now on what we still have to do. First of all, we still have to do the technical part of this, so the redstone, and we still have to get villagers in here. Both of these things are not going to happen in this episode, and I seem to be doing that a lot recently, where I build something fancy and then I delay the redstone to a later episode. I should really think of a better way to do that in the future. Anyway, there is something missing here that we still have to add, and that is crafting tables. Because this is Minecraft and you need crafting tables all the time. That is why we have crafting tables everywhere in my base, but over here I forgot to include them. So I somehow have to figure out a way to somehow spread crafting tables around here. And this is what I want to focus on next. So over here we have a nice big spot that comes down from the stairs. So we can build something cool here, and I thought about building an aquarium here. When it comes to building in Minecraft, in my opinion, aquariums are one of the easiest things to design. Because in reality, there is very little things going on here. The sides you want to look into your aquarium, you just make glass. And then the other sides you just make blue. Now in this case we made the other sides a little bit more fancy because on the bottom we did some sandstone to create a little bit more depth with our flooring and to make it a little bit more interesting. And then for the blue we started with dark blue on the bottom and went with light blue on the top. Now you don't have to make it this fancy, you can just do the dark blue everywhere and that would probably be fine. But you can just go a little bit further if you add a little bit more details. But in reality, this is a very simple wall. I had to get a little bit creative though, because we do not have access to sea lanterns yet, and those would have been perfect for the lighting on the top. Because we do have to add lighting, because otherwise the water in our aquarium will be very dark. Maybe in this aquarium specifically, we are going to continue the light blue in the ceiling as well, but we'll have to see once we start building some more. Next up, I am going to place in the glass and then the water. And placing in the water is probably always going to be the most annoying part of building an aquarium in Minecraft. So let's do this. Oh, and by the way, I figured out a layout for the crafting tables just by adding these little like patches in front of every like crop room. I feel like this is a very nice way of adding crafting tables everywhere here. I even added one in front of the aquarium. Does any of you remember this place? If you do, congratulations, because you are a very attentive viewer, and if you don't, well, that's not too bad, because we've only been here once, and it has been a very long time ago. When Sniffers came out, we came here to excavate sniffer eggs, because I wanted Sniffers, and now we have Sniffers at our base. And then we left, and we never came back. Until now, we are very far away from our base, and we have come here because this is in the middle of an ocean, a warm ocean, meaning it is the right biome to collect coral. And I actually have never collected these in survival, so I don't know if I like break this red block. No, you actually have to mine the coral itself. Okay, good to know. Let's just harvest some coral then. Alright, the aquarium has been decorated with the newly acquired coral blocks. But there is still one crucial thing missing, and that is life. We don't have any fish in the aquarium. So let's go catch one with the new lead mechanics. Okay, so the objective is easy. We catch a squid and we get it in the fish tank. And that should be relatively easy with the newly updated leads. Because I haven't acknowledged it yet, but there has actually been an update to this game. And they have changed the way that leads work, and it seems that they work a lot better now, because this guy is following me very well. And that will make this job a lot easier. But we also got a bunch of other things. We got the happy ghast, but I haven't been able to mess around with that because I haven't had time. And time is actually something that I wanted to talk about in this segment, and I am going to have to rush a little bit because we are doing this way faster than I expected it to go. But Right now, I am graduating from university, and that brings with it a bunch of uncertainty for me personally, because right now it is not entirely clear what I am going to do in the medium to long-term future, and actually the short-term future as well. So that means that Minecraft most likely is going to go a little bit to the background in what I am going to go do in the future. What I'm trying to say is I kind of expect the rate at which I upload videos to decrease a lot in the nearby future. And I'm going to name this squid Evariste Galois. But I was saying, so I perhaps expect the time between this episode, episode 32, and the next episode, episode 33, to be very long, like a couple of months, maybe like half a year or a year. I think that's a realistic term. But we'll see. Maybe in the future I can figure out some way of doing Minecraft anyway, except I don't see it right now. Probably it's going to go to the background and not being very high on my priority list. So yeah, that's just so you, the audience, stay informed on why I seem to be disappearing soon, probably. We are going to give our friend the squid a couple of friends in this aquarium, and those friends are Bernoulli, 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 and Bernoulli. And we got these a long time ago from trading with a wandering trader, and I can't seem to be able to place them. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, you have to place them against a block. Oh, okay, that's... makes sense. Okay, there we go. And now the fish tank has been populated. And now we pray that they do not die somehow. Because these are Minecraft mobs. They always find a way to somehow hurt themselves. So let's see how this evolves. With the fish in the aquarium is now finished. And instead of doing the redstone and technical part of this build today, I feel like we should cover the redstone of a different build today. And that different build is this one. A couple of episodes ago we built this room for the Honeycomb and honey farm. But back then we did not hook up the redstone for this build, and today I have done that. And I've also already added the bees in there, and that was a pain to do. I eventually figured out a way to do so, and I think I will demonstrate it when I do the other side. Because I have only done one side of this, the side of the honeycombs. Because honeycombs is the resource that I want to collect. And the other side for the honey is probably going to be a little bit more involved, because we somehow have to get the bottles to recycle. Or at least that's what I want to happen. Anyway, let's go over the way this works, because it's not that bad. I expected the redstone for this to be way more involved. So what we have is we have the nest blocks right here, so the hive there, and we detect using a comparator how much honey is in there. When this signal strength reaches 5, meaning it reaches up to here, there is honey ready to be harvested in this block. And then we pull the signal from here, we go up, and we power a dispenser with shears, shearing the honeycomb out of there. That then gets picked up by these hoppers and goes into this dropper that does the similar trick like we have seen a million times before in our world. When it gets filled, it starts cycling and it will push the items into a water stream. For anyone who wants to copy my build, let's look in all the crevasses here so you can see exactly what is going on. And then the items go into that water stream and they go over the ice into a bubble column, making them go up. And they go up all the way. up to here, and then at the end they go into a hopper chain that feeds into the chests that we can access and collect our honeycombs from. There is an additional circuit here, the one that I am walking over here, and that controls these 4 pistons, and that is for turning the farm off. So we simply have a toggle over here. If you press this button, the redstone line that I was walking over, this one, now gets unpowered, and that powers all of these pistons. And what that does is it pushes a block over here, and that interrupts this redstone signal right here. And actually we have timed it perfectly because we get an amazing demonstration here. We've done it right at the moment that this one became full and the honey is ready to harvest here. But because the redstone is interrupted, it doesn't trigger, and we've essentially turned the farm off. Now, if we turn it back on, it should harvest. Yeah, you can hear the clicking sound, and then we should see the items appear in here, yeah. So with that, I have explained everything already. It may look a little bit more complicated, but that's just because we repeat everything for the different hive blocks and because we have 2 of these cell things. In each hive there are 3 bees, and in each of these cells I have added 3 additional bees, so there would always be life in these windows. They cannot all fit in the hives together. I think this is a nice, satisfying point to end this video. We have fixed an old project, partially, but we've done work on it, and that's good. And we've built a whole lot of new things. Actually, let's go and look at those new things while I make the outro for this video. I had an absolute blast making this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. But with the end of a new episode of the Survival Minecraft Let's Play, there also comes a new fact of the video. And the fact of this episode is that the current design of the flag of the United States was made as a high school project. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I also hope I can see you in the next episode, whenever that will be, in the far future or not. And as always, keep wondering.